everyone.
Welcome everybody. Welcome every soul.
Everybody, welcome every
Welcome every
Yep.
spirit.
Welcome everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome.
There are some
Now,
friends now getting into the session.
yeah, we start tonight with that heat in the Europe continent, 38 degrees centigrade. Special
I think in our kitchen is 40.
45, 50. And it's really hot moment to receive our friends and holy poets and performers, visual artists, sound artists, rehearsals. But for me, it's really special because I found them like 20 years ago in London, maybe. And they introduced me to the Writers Forum directed by Bob Comin, where some of you, I recognized you at the beginning. And discovering how in the world they have that kind of mixture between action, spirituality, visual things, poetry, writing, sounds, everything from experience and also spontaneously. And that for me was really like a discover how they can work together for so many years, and at the same time sharing with some other artists. They work a lot with Ginés Olivares in this moment, making some films. They are always rehearsing in that, investigating in that kind of idea of improvisation, politics, poetics, participation, locality, rituals, transformation, etc. And then the work, I know them when they have the kind of residence in the what is the name of that Bob Cabaret, no? When they make like performance for like 1 week every month for years, and it was completely crazy, and also always that kind of spirit of mixing, and that reality and life and poetry are the same thing. And we pass like some during weeks or months, or every time passing with them is like transforming life forever, you know, like we are cooking and making poetry at the same time. We are like drinking water and at the same time putting water to the plants in the garden. And that connection in the art for me is really, really important in poetry. Like when poetry is connected not only in the writing style, in the correct style to making poetry, it's not poetry, it became real and transform the world. And then I don't know, just like now they are participating in galleries, poetry festival, residence, museum, public space. Is really like a spread around the world and around the different dominion of human life. Then now they will show us a little work or a big work, I don't know. And then I don't know if I forget something, maybe after the presentation we can ask them, like always, to finish with a big jam session in that hot moment. Then with you, Adrian Fischer and Luna Montenegro.
Thank you so much, everyone. Gracias por estar aquí. Gracias por invitarnos, Martín y Felipe.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and we are really sweating. We only got dressed to sit in front of you. And we're going to start now. Sustancias sagradas, jabones, inciensos, organizaciones intravenosas.
Holy substances, soaps and sticks, intravenous organizations.
Verbos intocables, lengua desmayando desde los labios, santuario interior.
Untouchable verbs, tongue faints from lips. Inner sanctum.
Termita carcome, creación sin forma, mente desmaterializada.
Munching termite, formless creation. Dematerialized mind.
Niebla, deber perder control de masa, niebla, deber perder control de masa.
Mist, must miss. Mass control.
Instrucciones engañosas, narrativas de musgo o mosca.
Misleading instructions, moss or mouse narratives.
Penetrando volúmenes, alcanzando dioses entre tamarindos.
Piercing volumes reach the gods among the tamarind.
Reptil a fruta.
Reptile to fruit.
Convertirse en flor de plátano.
Becoming banana flower.
Ser masticada por un zorro volador.
Chewed by a flying fox.
Irrigación genital.
Genital irrigation.
Karma portátil. Karma portátil. Karma portátil. Karma portátil.
Karma
Portátil. Repetition, raindrops on concrete. Repetition, raindrops on concrete. Critical aspect of digital technologies. Text and its relations to the planets, other planets. Repetition of thought, of trembling, of testing. Critical aspects of analog technologies, trilogies, terrains, tasks, tyrants, teeth, repetition of actions, of getting up, of drinking vinegar, of drinking wine, vinegar, wine, of connecting cameras. The artificial eye obscures the handheld desire, obscures the land that holds your feet, obscures the feast, the fasting, the flow, the fleeting thoughts, the formation of matter, the information, the infrared imaging, the forms under the vegetation, the gaps between the branches, the lunchtime deal that fills with tuna, cucumber, plain crisps,
bottle of water,
paper bag,
electric sliding door,
elevator,
buttons,
bits,
bites,
bottle
tops,
tips, tipsy nights, neon lights, nibbles, novel words, wordly, worthy, cardboard, wardrobe box, Amazon Prime, prosthetic aisle, preoccupation, press, play, soon, worship, decoding algae, rectangular vision, 14 participants, levitating, crossing, fictions, format, fermentation, flow, follicles, floods, ferocity, frowning, filaments, fantastic prose, fading, time, space, fenugreek seed, seal, sticky tape and plaster, evacuate,
the near and far,
bodied, boarding, past, paste, parrot, fashion, face, syncopate, pause, inscribe, plague, plaque, position, pedestal, place in the public record consciousness, repetition, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind,
play.
rewind.
Maitake mushrooms are known in Japan as the dancer mushrooms. According to a Japanese legend, a group of Buddhists moss.
Repairing the library, various options, database, to thumbnails, to permission, without even addressing emotion, omission, the impossibility, reaching a memory, materiality of thought, repairing the library remembrance, anecdotal encounters with time, face collection, space collision, Spanish colonization, into the void, handheld camera makes very experiential, sometimes little too visceral, decomposition, burn the library, sink the library, read in a wetsuit, digitally recycle the library, clean the library, break up the library, break up the library, 2008, 2001,
Better to taste, better to taste the library
of the
the
virus,
dust,
the library of the slave
might-
traders, the library of
better to
karma, the
explore
library of the
sound,
state, the library of Ephesus, the
her
library as a collection,
pages,
of love as preserve, as
Before
orange
the
marmalade, the
oscillation,
library as mango
one
chutney,
page and
processed, digested,
the rule
understood,
of an Italian
as
dictionary,
spreadable,
the noise
spreadable,
of a science
spreadable,
fiction
symbol
whisper,
or sign,
poetry,
dissolution, symbol
loud
or sign,
cry,
dissolution. Sink the library,
things,
we read in a wetsuit, sink the
inside the
library,
library,
sink the library, like the
bright
library,
glowing things,
recycle the library, clean the
the
library,
library of
break
magic,
up the library, better
the
to
library
taste the
2008,
dust, better to explore the
the library
sound, the
2122,
purring of pages,
the library
the
of the
fall,
virus,
the oscillation of one page
the library of the violet,
to another, the library of the virus, the library
the library of
2019, the library of 2120, the library of the state,
the library of
the library of space collision, the library of Spanish colonization, the library of face collection, emotion, omission, emotion, omission, omission. Here, be here, be here, be, 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 here, be here, be here, be here, be here, be, ear, be, ear, be, 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 be here, be, be here, 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 be, 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 be,
Omission,
Trans, omisión,
mention,
omisión,
mandate,
omisión, mención, mandato,
understanding
transición,
the morphology
la morfología de
of
la
normality,
morfología de la
in
normalidad, de la
originality, lightly
normalidad,
touching
su origen
or
neumático
brushing
aplastándose
a lip,
contra o casi tocando
a child's lip, a cat's lip,
el labio de
a
un
rose lip,
niño, el
a park's
labio
lip,
de un
a
gato,
looping
el
lip,
labio de
a
una
reverse lip,
carretera,
a
el
slow
labio
motion
de un
lip,
parque,
tongue
un
lip,
labio inverso,
crushing with a
un
cow
labio
lip,
fractal, un labio
causing
lengua, causando
catnip lips,
labio totémico,
lover's lip,
labio de amante, canciones de cuna, semáforos redundantes. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's good.
Fantastic, man.
Thank
Can
you very
hear us,
much.
guys? Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Blue.
Cheers.
Sure.
Johanna.
Hi.
So I don't know. I mean, if you want to have a conversation, we can also do a jamming together. That'd be lovely.
I have a first question to start, and then everybody can join. It's
Great.
like a very general question. I've been watching your performance and poems from, I don't know, 15 years or so, and I've always wanted to know if how's your work before the presentations. Is there any rehearsing? Usually you use texts that are written, so you have like kind of a script, but I'd like very much to know how is the work before the pieces or the performances between you two, and if you have different functions or you share the functions, how does it work?
Well, I think we don't have very much of a division between,
Yeah.
like, I mean, obviously we're not performing all the time, but we do quite a lot of this in our daily life, I suppose.
Okay.
So we try things out, and then I don't know, in some way, poetry has to do with all the other things we do. I mean, we see it as one thing, really. We see like to do an artwork or a performance or a sculpture or a film as all one poetic thing. And then we do have like certain structures. So we write together, like we do it quite a lot every night or so. And then yeah, we did like we do devise certain things, but we don't rehearse them.
Okay.
Well, it varies, I think. It varies because we do a lot of different things, and maybe sometimes things roll into other things. And so you're working on something, then we'll do it in a presentation, then maybe we'll change something or bring in new work on top of that. So I think it varies a bit, but generally yeah, maybe we go through the poems together. It depends on the poem itself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they also become other things. Sometimes like a poem will become like an image. So when we do it originally, we write it, but then maybe when it gets to a book, it turns into a drawing or into a song. We've been doing quite a lot of sound lately, so we have like some experimental bands with with Gregorio, for example, we had the Jet, that was really fun. And yes, so things become other things. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yeah, and that's another question I wanted to make to you, that like when I see your performances, it's very difficult to make a division between what is poetry, what is performance, what is visual arts, what is music. It's like very well, I don't know, linked. All the materials. I mean, you can, of course, there is text, there's movement, there's sound, but it's difficult to put it just in one place. Has it been always like that, or you've been like making a mix together along all the time that you've been together working?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we see it very much like as a process of working poetry. So poetry is the process that then forms objects, sounds, but it's always an integral part of what we're making. So although an object may come out of it at the end, we see that as a poetic process. So in a way, we don't distinguish, like you're saying, I suppose, the different mediums that we're working in so much. They ideally flow into each other and become something from that.
So, for example, I don't know, we've been making things together for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
And they have always grown, from poetry in some way, but also from ritual as well. I will say that's quite important. Like we met and we were both working around ideas of ritual. And in fact, the first thing that we did together was actually Adrian had been invited to the MAC in Chile, to a contemporary art museum, to do this show where for the first time they were invited lots of indigenous people from all over Chile to perform. So we actually did a performance in that context. That was our first performance together. And then after that, we got really excited about the Selknam. We got really into an indigenous group from the very south of Chile. And we got really interested in this idea of like how they have this total crossover between performance, because they do very clear performances, but sometimes they last 9 months. So you're like 9 months performing. So that was quite exciting. So the first thing that we did together was to go there and to write poetry from that landscape, and also look at well, there is some recordings. We got into like looking at the archival of that way of living, which was quite exciting. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like poetry is like the glue of everything. I mean, it is what allows you to mix like Selknam songs or rights, and I don't know, Dada and lots of things together. I always appreciate very much that it's very organic what you do. I mean, and I can see like some kind of a continuous line between what I first saw of you like in 2004 or 2005, I don't remember, and what you're doing now. Is like a whole work together. I don't know, maybe, of course you might see some differences and different, how do you say, like, distintas etapas, but you know, it's like a continuous work, a huge work along these 20 years, I think.
Yeah, I just like to say that I think the work also like poetry, right? I mean, this idea of being the glue or whatever, but I think also I like the idea of presence. I think in a way, poetry has this way of making you present, making the other present, making presence through the voice, making presence through the body, through a written text, through the sound. And I think that's something that is very, I mean, very important for us, I suppose. And I think at some point we focus a lot on like how do you make yourself present in a situation, but then also we started to look a lot at like how do you make present the presence of the others within the project. So for example, we did that project in Chile where we did that kind of I don't know, a poetic action of taking the molds of the fingers of 1,000 people that walked the square in one day, the Plaza de Armas. So we in a way see that as a poetic action, but it also has to do with presence, I suppose. I don't know how to explain that.
The presence also in the game with the play with present in the present tense. You know, like I think that is so beautiful in your work. That kind of in each moment of your life and your art, you are really present. You are now. You're not outside ni inside. You are there, and that is so beautiful. And we used to work.
Let's all be present together. We used to be present together quite a lot.
And that is beautiful. So we used to work a lot. We have that collective pneumáticos. We used to make a lot of things together, and you used to play a lot with different people around you. That is really beautiful. You're not like a closet mirror, two persons working together. You are really open to the third element or the fifth element. We make pneumáticos. We search for the fifth element. And what did apport to you, that kind of the energy of your friends working together and going to that hermetism of the couple, to the like open wide friendship to the universe and creation?
I suppose it's really strange because actually art or writing generally is very associated with being alone in a way, with being single, with like, for example, there are lots of places that we send a poem that we wrote together and they do not accept a poem written by more than one person. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I think I don't know, like the being together is very strong for us, but we also really love being together with other people. And I think our work has a lot to do with like bringing people together as well. So we still do that cabaret, or we did, I don't know, the pneumáticos with you, Martina, with many other fourth and fifth and elements and different musicians and filmmakers and artists. And yeah, and I think some of the people that are here as well, we have done lots of things together. And our biggest happiness recently is that they relax a little bit the lockdown. So even though it wasn't totally allowed, we did a public performance in the border of the River Thames. That was meant to be in a gallery, but it was much better anyway in the river. And we, instead of performing ourselves, we created a space for all our closest collaborators to perform in London. So that was really fun.
Yeah. I think like we connected also with people through what we're doing and what they're doing. So I think those connections, like people making poetry, sound, music, whatever, film, performance, the ideas, maybe, yeah, they're in our relationship, but they're in everybody else's as well. And maybe the idea is to link them somehow, and that we can form something together, to make something, to have an exchange dynamics and energies. Yeah, and that expands and expands and then contracts and contracts. And I think it varies over the years at different times. We've done, yeah, very large projects, like with 50 people or more. And then go down to the two of us for a bit, and then maybe we get bigger again, or somebody invites us to another project and we work with that. So again, very fluid, I think, in a way, ideally anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, the last project that we did with a group of people, I mean, that was like in the lockdown, but just before the end of last year, we had the great opportunity to work with like 30 art students in a project about poetry, performance, art, and politics, basically. So we made a performance with 30, we directed 30 artists and poets to do this project together. I think that was really that was really special, and it was really, actually we're not very used to directing. We're also only used to like collaborating or facilitating. But yeah, but it was actually very lovely to have the opportunity to direct in some way, to create something together, but also like to be outside was really nice as well.
Yeah, so I think there's this discovery as well of, like, so obviously working in India and hearing how people live and personal stories and lives, the politics, the activism, the poetry, they feed into the work and feed into our work. I think, like Martin was saying in the introduction, we do write a lot from experience as well still.
Yeah.
Maybe we make objects, I don't know if that's so much from experience. Maybe they're slightly more conceptual in their approach from that, or yeah.
I don't know whether. Do you have any questions?
I don't know if someone of the people there are somewhat to ask to Luna and Adrian.
Yes, I have a question.
Hello, Zoe.
Hello. It's so lovely to encounter you in this particular group of people, and yeah, and in our different places. And yeah, it's yeah, I was just wondering if you could talk about this particular space that we're in now. And I suppose also the sort of the fact that you've got these connections with the Writers' Forum, but you know, also a set of coordinates from Chile, you know, and all of these other sort of points of connection. I wonder if you could just talk about maybe like what are the most interesting juxtapositions of those really kind of different worlds in the way that you've inhabited them over the years?
Wow, that's a good question. Do you answer that? Well, I think it's very like two sides of like a Chile and the UK, and we have always been like a jumping between them, and we have always kept the connection with Chile very strongly. So not only through being there or going there, generally to do like maybe more like art projects, being in the Writers' Forum in Chile, being the Writers' Forum here with Bob, and in the following ones as well. But I don't know really. I don't know what to say. I suppose it's not so easy somehow to like jump between those worlds, but it's a great learning process. And I feel like for some strange reason, it's not only that we are interweaved, but those contexts have interweaved. Like, for example, the Writers' Forum, right? Like, I don't know, when we met Andres and Banter, and we started to go to the Writers' Forum, and then Martin, and then Tomás Brown, and then Martin Vaquero came as well, and Gavins and everyone. But then it was really exciting when it was created, this Writers' Forum in Chile, how it crossed boundaries and it started to exist there. And I think that was lovely and very strong. And we are, I don't know, it's exciting to be part of the two.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like the other places, we've been fortunately invited by festivals, or we also applied to residencies. So, and then we try to maintain contacts with those residencies, maybe like in Norway 2 years ago, and also in Italy and France. So I suppose from writing these proposals and thinking the projects, going there, doing the work, and then we maintain relationships with these different countries and places and spaces.
Yeah, but I don't know, because your question was more about the juxtaposition of these two, and that's what I don't know, like of these two worlds. We embody somehow.
I'm just wondering, maybe is there another way of looking at it? Are there things that are maybe that you couldn't do in one or other contexts, but the relationship between them makes possible, or it really brings out some part of your work that wouldn't exist if you didn't have both? Or, you know, is there some contrast between the two that you think is important?
I suppose like being here, I suppose the fact that I'm kind of more different here, it allows us to do certain things. And in Chile, the same, the fact that we come with Adrian and stuff. I think in general, Chile for us has been very welcoming and easy to make bigger projects, just because I think it's for all of us. Like in Chile, we don't have like the kind of even health and safety and things that you have here. So then that has allowed for thinking bigger sometimes, and that has been exciting. Like I don't know, sometimes to do a bigger scale project, so or just to invent them and take over a space. So, for example, the oldest prison in Chile, in Valparaiso, was closed, and then the year after, we actually lived in it for like 3 months. So we did a residency there, and we lived with the guy who had been one of the inmates for 27 years, and he was now running it as a cultural space. But that was really exciting to have the opportunity to like occupy an entire space, and we invited lots of people. We did that in a quite big scale, so we worked with like maybe 50 performers, musicians, and people that were related to that area, and also other friends. And so that was possible in Chile, I suppose, just because maybe bigger things are maybe more easy to organize.
Well, more spontaneous.
More spontaneous.
I don't know so much now. I don't know if everything's spontaneous now in Chile or nothing is. I don't know. I always found before in previous years, things could move very quickly in a way that very hard in Britain might take months. So that freedom that's an interesting juxtaposition between Chile and the freedom to put on events. I mean, we also, after we'd been in Valparaiso at the residency, we went back a few years later and then invited some of Sonic Youth to play with Chinchineros, and with we did something with Lukács Santana as well.
And
Golly. So like, it's hard to imagine that happening so much here, but there's I don't know, there's a spirit we found of being able to do things and put them on, put the energy in, and everyone's going for it, and it's beautiful in that way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations for your book. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've been hearing you for years doing the water ideas, and it's really beautiful. I really love your work.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, Felipe, I think we met you 19 years ago.
I think in Paris, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We always remember you really, really young and very, very performative, with a little packet from the plane and with a toothbrush.
Yeah, you know, that was the first time that I made a proper poetry reading, because before that I didn't want to read my poetry, so I asked some friends to read the poems for me. And in this case, when Martin Vaquero invited me, I had to do something. I mean, I was invited, so I had to figure out what to do. But it's great, and relating to what Zoe was asking you, I wanted also to add that it's great that when you are making this kind of exchanges and cultural exchanges we're making all around in this place, it's great because sometimes I remember the first time that you made that performance related to the soapnams. I mean, it's great when you came from another place and you shed some light into things that we here don't see. It is great when these things happen, because I mean, if you live in a place, you're always very blind to some things, and it's great when someone makes you, take a look at that. You're not seeing that, so it's great. And I mean, it's a more complex view of everything that you can produce.
Yeah. That was really beautiful. I remember when we did that Selknam performance in Chile, in that gallery, you mean at night?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really exciting because we had been meeting Paz Errázuriz sometimes, and it was lovely because she invited Anne Chapman to the performance, and she came. So it was really beautiful because Anne Chapman was really the main anthropologist working with the Levi-Strauss tradition, and she had done all the recording of the Lola Kievja and all the details of the Selknam. So that was very exciting. That I don't know, I just remember that. That was really exciting moment.
Can I ask you guys what the letters,
Hello.
what were the letters made out of that you ate?
They were made of organic purple corn. So the last place that we stayed at before the lockdown was Mexico. So we had it was really amazing because this enclave, the festival with Rocio, was about ritual. So she invited us, and it was really exciting to be there. And well, separate to literature, whatever, we really love these tortillas made out of purple corn. So we got some of the flour and we brought it home, and we are using just the last little bits of it. It's delicious.
I just, when the letter first moved, or you moved the letter, I mean, I was completely blown away because I didn't really expect the letter to move. It's powerful for. But the other thing is, what's interesting, just, you know, at the beginning, Martin, you definitely encapsulated a lot of what they do very well. And one thing you didn't mention is just the way they also use taste and mouth a lot. I mean, I'm very lucky that I live in London, and I mean, I've seen them perform so many times, and it strikes me that you guys also use taste and mouth movements, and you know, you got the big thing with the gum, and here you have, you're eating your letters, and I think there's been a couple of other things I've seen like that. I just really like that, you know, because it's a sense that's often not used, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really, yeah. We're quite into the mouth, but I suppose maybe more into the idea of the visceral. I think that's quite important, I suppose, in our work. We really like things that can be visceral and experiential and felt in a way. Yeah. So there was this one time that we worked with letters before. So we did loads of letters, and then we found these pianola rolls, you know, these very old rolls that they're about maybe 6 meters, and were for the old pianolas. So we tried to kind of recreate some sounds on them by placing mics, but also placing different letters, so it could be read as a 6-meter poem. And then we got people in the audience to eat each letter by like cracking it, but at the same time saying some improvised word that started with that letter. So that was quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we like to use the idea of the visceral to disturb, to interrupt, to change, like dislocate what's happening. And I think I find it very fun. It's effective in a way. Sometimes we're unaware of it, and then people come up later and say, "Oh, that was disgusting," or whatever. But I suppose the idea is, yeah, it's like a punctuation mark or something, but also to break the language, to change the language somehow from this text to something suddenly that is felt or repulsed or laughed at as well. Hopefully laughed
or enjoyed.
Enjoyed. Maybe we used to do that, I think, in the earlier years through the body, maybe more. We were quite like visceral, naked, really going for the ritual, the object, the poem. I think now we're less visceral, maybe, in the body, in the whole body sense. But we still like use the visceral.
Yeah. We did a performance with Martín as Neumáticos, Vaquero. You remember, Martín, when we did Enceinte, like pregnant, it was called Pregnant or Embarazada. So it was, yeah, me and Adrian were naked. We only had in our tummies, we had attached a massive speaker. So we did it in the Bibliothèque de la France. You remember?
Yeah.
In the where they open it, yeah.
I was
So
playing with,
yeah, we did it together.
yeah, with the French word is enceinte, that is me.
Ensemble.
At the same time speaker and at the same time like
I'm pregnant.
and yeah, and I was invited for a reading like and like whole festival poetry and with Luna and Adrian as Pneumaticos trio. They were the stereo movement around the people, like the sound catching and working and they put the speaker on you in their body, and then there was really like
just the speaker, nothing else.
Yeah, and that is beautiful in your word, that how you make no difference between soul and flesh in a way, you know, like the body is the soul and the soul is the body. That is what I feel with you, and with like with always like kind of naked, or like with running thing, or showing our ass to the boats in the river, or like I don't know, completely like
in the river stand. That's so good. We should find that clip to play it one day. That's so good.
Yeah, we have to.
That was really fun.
We have a website still.
Yeah, Pneumaticos.
Yeah, no, it's so glad to work with you and to be like. Anyway, have to visit me soon. Come to the cave, to the painting caves next week.
That's exciting.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll make with Andres Ambanter from the painting caves in the south of France.
Yeah, that's so exciting. That's lovely.
And I was there last week with Joaquin Montesui and Eduardo Escofet and Gerard Altayo, and was like so glad like to meet us again, you know, in body and that group that we are here, like that connection. And I hope that we can connect some works together and open the poetry to like a collective state. That is so beautiful that you're a couple working together. I don't know, I'm fan number one, and all the people around. I don't know. You were also with Ginés with some films.
Yeah, we work a lot with Ginés making films. Yeah, that's like a big part of our work, really.
Yeah. So we made about 10 short films together and one long film, feature length film.
Yeah, so hopefully we're gonna get to show it soon here. It's called The Humming Loom of Time. O, ¿cómo se puede decir? El zumbido del telar del tiempo. So that's 67 minutes, a feature we did with Ginés, and yeah, it's quite exciting to have made it. But then it was sad because we were very lucky to be able to premiere it in the last Venice Biennale. But then we wanted to show it here, but now it's very difficult. You cannot really show something publicly like that. So maybe it will be, I don't know, maybe it will be online or something, I don't know.
I imagine that for you, like for like a kind of several of us, the confinement or confination, I don't know how to say it, the moment of like all the human being was like under their knees and asking help about their knowledge. How you like received your different moments in all the state that you were together, because you talk already about the political state, the different work in Chile or work in England or work in, and at the same time in different moment of the humanity time. You know, what do you think about it happens now, and what do you feel about that kind of art that you already, I don't know, like a lot of us, we know how to be at home sometimes, but now we are like have more time and sometimes more deep or sometimes change. What do you feel? What did you receive in those moments?
In the confinement.
Yeah, and around.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I suppose something very strong was like looking at the detail of things. I think that was really strong for me, for us, I think, very present. Like, I don't know, we spent quite a long time looking at a little spider or at things that, you know, like we spent quite a long time inside at the beginning because we were flying back to England and we didn't know if we might have this. So we decided to stay totally locked, then later start to go out a little bit. But I think finding lots of different layers within your daily space, that was powerful in a way. Yeah, so I don't know, looking at the lichen and the little things that grow here, and yeah, little things, I suppose that was strong.
Yeah, I think, well, also, yeah, being adaptable, trying to be adaptable, I think, yeah. And like when the lockdown first happened, we got really into working, trying to work the digital technology, I suppose. I think then we relaxed after a month or so with that. But I like the idea of being adaptable and working with the situation. So now it's possible to do things outside. We need to organize more things outside where people can meet, and you're not going to have problems, hopefully. So
I mean, it's also nice the idea of working with the unknown. Like, I think we really don't know what's going to happen. And instead of like being worried about that, I think it's really lovely to embrace it. Like, I think I always find it exciting. That's something I find exciting about certain poems that I remember, or certain pieces of art, or whatever forms of expression. I always remember when something was kind of unexpected, and that has a power. And now the fact that, I don't know, it's a bit shaken, the world. And I think it is going to be like a difficult and hard, but maybe the unknown also has like a good side to it, an exciting side to it. I don't know.
I mean, aside from people dying and all
no, of course. I mean, like, it's a terrible situation, but
yeah. I mean, it's hard to deal with that as well, isn't it? Because I think, I mean, you know a few people who've had it, and some people who've died.
Adrian, can you be a little bit closer to the microphone, because some of people don't understand really well.
Okay.
Can
you hear me? Yeah.
That's better.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, to acknowledge the seriousness of the medical crisis, but also at the same time the political crisis. I mean, the politics are disgusting here, and in Chile and in Brazil. I mean, we all know there's no point in going. I don't want to go into it. It drives me mad. But the political situation, I don't know. How do you fight it anymore? It's like
with solidarity,
with poetry,
yeah.
like we understand that. I know the limits of that, isn't it? It's understanding the limits, but also we do things we can. We go to demonstrations, we film at demonstrations. I don't know, try to do things, but yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? So I don't know.
But you talk about open space. Maybe let's organize something in an open space near of London.
Yeah, open space is good. It's been great to do things outside.
Maybe a tour, like Language is a Virus tour, 2021.
Yeah.
Open space, like.
That would be great, guys. Come over, we do a little tour.
We start with you guys. You are the best for that. Find a place in London or near of London, like that old factories when the jungle music starts, or that connection who was in London between that, the jungle poetry, the people who make like at the same time that is not slam at all. It's other thing, like kind of rumbles and grimbles and rhythms.
And jungles and jingles.
And what are your next steps, guys? After coming to visit me this summer, no, or before. But
we have quite a few projects that are pending. I mean, supposedly they have been moved, but some of them are really exciting. Like we're gonna go. There is gonna be at the beginning of next year. Next year, yeah. So it's gonna be the Trienal of Performance in Chile. Is gonna happen. So that's very exciting, and you will also have like some like a link to poetry. So we were invited like 2 years ago. So now finally it's going to happen. But it's lovely if that happens. So we're hoping to go to that. And we are curating. I mean, we're working in a project called Slant. It's a project actually which is organized by Iris Colomb, But also like we applied for the funding. She did actually like, yeah, she did like maybe a year and a half ago or whatever. And we're working in that project as well. And we're working in some projects with artificial intelligence, but looking at the narratives of artificial intelligence and in relation to indigenous people, in fact, to the Selknam. So we're doing a project with that. And what else?
We're doing a book project.
Yes, we're gonna,
putting together.
yeah, so we're putting together a book. It's a mixture of all these things that we've been doing, so that's exciting. And yeah, and then we're applying all the time endlessly to as many things as possible.
We're also showing with films with Ines Olivares. We're going to be showing 2 films in the 100th birth anniversary of Jens Bjørneboe.
Yeah, Jens Bjørneboe.
Norwegian anarchist writer, poet.
One of the greatest anarchists of Europe, Jens Bjørneboe. If you don't know him, please look at him. He's really great. And yes, so it's his 100-year anniversary, and we'll show the 2 films on the 23rd of August. So that's pretty soon.
That'll be in Norway. And what else?
That's it.
Sorry, those films you're showing, are you showing them like online publicly or what?
Actually, they're showing them because Norway now has the possibility of doing shows, so they're showing it there. In fact, there is like this art center where the house of Bjørneboe was, his lovelet. In fact, Thomas Brown came and collaborated. We invited him to collaborate with us. He came over to see us when he was in Oslo. That was exciting. And yeah, so we did 2 films. And one of them is actually a 3D film. So it's a virtual reality film. Whoa. And it's filmed inside the house of Bjørneboe. Yeah, and the other one is more like a 14-minute 14-minute short film that has to do with one of his poems as well.
I mean, they explore like the folk culture that we encountered in Norway, and then this violence of nature and beauty. So yeah, that's the sort of mix, and also of modernism.
In fact, the poem that we use is called The Brutality of Youth.
That's great to hear you mention Jens Bjørneboe.
Hello, Stephen.
Hi. But
hi.
Can I ask you, when you went to India, tell us a little bit about when you were in India last year, and did you work and perform outside a lot? And I'm partly asking that because I'm thinking back to the performance by the Thames that you did about a month ago.
Yeah, with you.
Yeah.
But when you were in India, did you perform by rivers?
Well, actually, when we were in India, the main thing that we were doing was working in this project. So it was like a 6-week, very intense work with 30 students, art students.
Open air space.
Yeah, so, but we did actually perform in an open air. It's called, how's it called? It's kind of the National Theatre in India. And they have an open amphitheater for 1,000 people. It's quite enormous, everything. Well, it's so many people, as you know, like everything was kind of a very big scale. So we did perform in the outside with them. It's also a big tradition for the National Theatre to engage with tradition and to engage with the local people and to have like open spaces. So most of the performances there did happen in the open space. And then later we went to Kerala, and we were very happy to be in it was quite a particular context to be in a very small village where we also performed outside, but within the context of the South India Writers Ensemble. So they have like a more like a network, but at the same time it was great because we did something quite political and quite, I don't know, I suppose, quite surreal in a way for that context. And our public were like old people, children, the local teachers, and yeah, of course, some poets and some artists from around. But yeah, that was lovely.
So we did some outside, and then we also worked a bit. We visited some art schools, and then had the opportunity to present in some of the art schools in India, which were amazing campus places, often like with trees and nature around and big studios, quite different to the English, or at least the London art schools, where you've got a little box if you're lucky to be in, and an urban space, which is all right. I mean, making work about contemporary life, contemporary space, but yeah, I like the art schools in India. Were quite amazing, the ones that we visited.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I think the only thing that it was difficult, I suppose, we had been very involved in the protest for what was happening in Chile. So we had this very political charge and this kind of like, we were really worried and involved and looking at what was happening there with the estallido, uprising or whatever. But then when we got to India, it was actually exactly the same thing happening, because Modi had just, you know, like people were very angry and people were in the streets. And in fact, when we arrived on the second day, they did the same. So most of the time that we were in India, we were under curfew with no freedom of assembly. So at some point, the maximum of people that you could meet together, it was 3. So one day we met another couple of teachers that we had met before in the street. And we had the guards coming at us saying, look, you can't stay for people in the street. So I suppose that was challenging, and maybe it makes it more difficult, especially if you're Indian, I think, to perform outside. It's not so easy. And people sometimes get killed for it as well.
Thank you for telling us all that.
I have a little question before I have to go, and I have to go a little earlier. First, I have to say, it was just amazing to see you perform, and it's really so organic what you're doing. And because I'm kind of skeptical about integrating all media into one pot, it can be dangerous, but you're doing it really, really great. But I have this question. You were talking about ritual too, and so what would your idea of ritual be? What is your idea? How do you perform ritual, or how do you integrate ritual in your performance?
I suppose that's something that we discuss a lot, actually, because it's always like this limit with ideas of cultural appropriation, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think we tend to create spaces of trying to search for possibilities of presence in a way. So often we work with breathing, for example. I don't know, I suppose we are both interested in trying to get to a certain state of mind where you can maybe feel quite free of things. And then that might or might not constitute a ritual. I don't actually have a definition for it.
I think like, again, like over the years, I think we started with learning, reading, critiquing anthropology or different writings or sound writing, maybe about anthropology or about indigenous groups, and then thinking, well, what are the rituals that we have? And then looking at domestic rituals like cleaning teeth.
Exactly what I wanted to say. Can you get it?
Cleaning teeth, or well, smoking a cigarette, in fact, we've used in performances. So we thought we'd bring that down to the local, but at the same time, look at these descriptions of rituals, maybe from indigenous people, from maybe group rituals, or observing contemporary cultural rituals, and somehow mix them. So we take like a fertility ritual from the Selknam people from the south of Chile, and then we rework that in a power station in Kreuzberg in Berlin, and we use a crane to carry tiny objects between us in this fertility ritual. We're either end of this enormous crane. It's a big beam crane used for moving the big transistors, or I mean big generators of the power station around. But we use it to move tiny little objects between us. With various sounds going on, and we use some of the Selknam maybe iconography within that or symbolism partly, but it's grounded very much in a contemporary ritual that we're making in that space.
Yeah, basically in that particular one, the original ritual, people were always connected through bodies. They were always touching each other and attaching pieces of, it's actually they build with lots of twigs and leaves, a massive penis. So they hang it from their waist and then they spin so fast that the penis gets an erection. Can you imagine? I don't know, whatever. But then the thing is, like, what we decided to use for that, it was to never connect our bodies other than through machines. So we never touch each other. But it did have a very kind of fertility side to it that was performed through a chili pepper. I don't know, but sorry, I wanted to say, just because of your question, that, yeah, so these, for example, are our rituals. I mean, like the first time that I saw Adrian washing his teeth, it's a very big concentration. So this one, and I have a little obsession with my hairs, so I could use this one. But I wanted to also show you that we tend to collect little things. Like, for example, this is our cigarettes that we have smoked for, I don't know, maybe the last month or a few weeks. So we tend to keep them. And then it's kind of a research of like our own objects. Like this is it's like all the hair that has been in our hairbrush for the last year. So we tend to kind of like, I don't know if that's ritualistic, but we tend to look at presence and traces of presence in a way within our daily life.
But also again, then, so we had a show in Chile about 5 years ago, which was an exhibition, and we invited a shaman, an Atacaminian shaman, to make a ritual in the gallery for the invisible. So we asked if he would do a ritual for something maybe that he wouldn't normally do in his own context, but in this context to make a ritual for something else that is immaterial.
But I mean, we know this shaman for the last 20 years, and he was actually quite also happy to share some ancient knowledge with a different group of people, but also to kind of celebrate in some way the invisible, through sound and chewing of coca leaves and giving some things to the floor and blowing a big conch. I don't know if that answers, but whatever.
But so this mix, I suppose, from local to ritual, I don't know, somewhere between that. And then that seeps into the work, I think.
It's interesting you mentioned that with the shaman, because I also met a couple of shamans, but they were really reluctant to see their work in any connection with art. They said it's a ritual for the community, for healing, for whatever, but it's not art. So they were really distinct about that. So did you encounter that as well?
Yeah. Well, actually, no, in this case,
in Chile, no.
Well, no, I don't know, but in this particular case, he was very open to perform. It's kind of not a cleansing ritual, but it's a ritual that it normally is to be performed for groups of people. So we were attending a place, it's a little hill in Santiago, where they do lots of rituals. It's not actually to do with anything to do with money. It's totally free. People hangs out there and everything. And there are some rituals performed there. And I think he is also part of that. And he was kind of happy to, but I don't think he sees it as art. He sees it as a way of being together. And he's sharing some.
Yeah. Also, well, maybe again, this is particular to Chile, but there's a solidarity there. I think that we, when the first time I went to Chile, I stayed in CONACIN, which is one of the indigenous organizations which links indigenous groups throughout Chile.
But it's not from the state, it's organized by the indigenous people.
And then people from there also came to perform in the gallery, in the MAC there. So we had this relation from a very early time. So asking him if he would do something in a gallery wasn't really a problem, because I think a lot of shaman, indigenous people, they want contact and they want their voice to be heard. And if there's a forum for it, then that's good, whether that's art or not necessarily. But the important thing is to communicate. And in Chile, the situation of the Mapuche right now is disgusting and horrific, and it needs voices throughout every medium and every place, because people are being murdered and possibly massacred at some point soon. So
so I suppose he was happy to share with people.
Yeah, but that connection between ritual and shamanic or medium states, you know. I remember that with Felipe organized a Congress of experimental poetry in Chile in the 2005, I don't remember. But and I made like a medium poetry. How you say, when you ask a lot of mediums to a casting of mediums.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I made before also in a festival in Madrid. And I have the same impression. All the mediums, they can connect with all the people from the past. When I ask to them like to connect with the poets coming from the future or from outer space, they're like, no, I cannot do it. But one arrives and say, no, yes, I know how to do it. And then he starts shamanic things, but in a moment he want to kill a cock, you know, in the middle of the performance. And I say, no, I don't want to kill someone. You're just like, go with your candle and it's okay. But in a moment, I say, okay, but if you feel like I find someone from the public and the people start to realize that it's something dangerous, please stop me, because I make the same ritual, and I don't know. And it was funny, because in a moment that she was like crying and connecting with some sound from Cassiopeia poets, you know, like talking like in frequencies with harmonic, completely fantastic. And I was mixing all that in an octaphonic system, and in a moment I heard everyone's like, oh, and I opened my eyes like I go to see, and yes, truly like Selvis was the name of the medium performer, took someone of the public and was like a cock want to like kill him, and then we transformed that in a honey. I did a honey pot with like a kind of paper and some letters, like pasta letters, you know, that kind of alphabets from letters I use for performing. And
I remember we have used them together.
Yeah.
Some letters.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, maybe your experience with mediums and that kind of, it's interesting that they are not like really connected with art moments, but we have all the surrealism story and all that kind of experiment with mediums and telepathic connections and something like that. What are you working already, Dirk? That I didn't know that you was in that mood now.
Working on what? On telepathy? Yeah, we're getting quite good at it now.
Yeah, of course, but maybe you can share it for the next program. I don't know. No, I can't. Do you want to talk us a little bit about it or not? Not yet.
About what?
About Dirk Ulström experience with mediums and rituals and shamanic states.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm quite interested in like different states of consciousness. That's quite good. Can be achieved in many ways, even by breathing or not sleeping so much. I don't know. I suppose we're into the idea of presence and we try different possibilities.
Yeah. And does it also mean involving the audience or a group around you very much? Or is it possible to do just rituals by yourself? Well, of course, the brushing your teeth, you don't need anyone else, of course, but maybe you want to make someone else brush their teeth. Is that possible too, or?
I don't know about
How do you work with the audience in that way?
No, I think we offer or facilitate more than like instruct, I would say.
Yeah, so like for example, we did a residency in a museum of insects, and it was really lovely, because actually we're into the idea of the presence of the body and the presence of others, and maybe even a body as a collective, but also into things that are not human. I mean, that is really important, to have that sense of communion with things that, and with all the things in a way. So in this particular work, we did work with a group of people. We didn't know they all came from that area of France, and we just had like a big bowl with what was it inside the alcohol? It's a local alcohol from there, and also we had a small collection of these very big ants that are from Colombia. So they are very big ants, and they were just smoked, and they had a bit of salt. So we invited people, if they wanted to share this moment of eating an insect. And I think that felt somehow quite ritualistic. This I'm not saying it from me wanting to create the ritual, but like from the feedback of the people. So we did like, we created a walk. So it was like a 2-hour walk through several different sites that we have been working on for a couple of months. And then when we got to the end, we had this final piece of sharing together, and eating an insect all at the same time, and then having a drink from this big bowl, and then getting to the last part of the performance, which was a tiny, tiny sculpture made from recovered dead insects. And they were kind of having a little party on top of the music sheet. I don't know, that's a possibility.
Does anyone want to do more questions, or you can take some ideas from here related to other works, other experiences?
Oh, we can do a jam.
Yeah, of course. we can always do that.
But I don't know if anybody has another question.
But you can give us the instructions by telepathy.
Okay. I'm gonna do it like this. If you haven't seen this French film, you should. It's called La Belle Verte, and it's an anarchist film made by a woman. And then you will realize my hand movement. La Belle Verte. I could send a link into the group. It's beautiful. Thomas? Comment t'as Thomas? Trop loud.
Because Alma is sleeping in the next room, so I don't want to wake her up.
That's good, that's good.
But it was all...
I don't know, maybe we can jam? Shall we jam?
Great, but if you want, you can give us some instructions, or some information, and we can follow you.
Okay, but shall I really do it through telepathy or no?
Yeah. I will concentrate right now to receive you well.
Okay, so maybe you can each have one of these as well. Maybe you can take this in the way that you like.
Okay.
We had to prune the tree today. So we have outside our house there is a tree, which is a bay leaf. So es una hoja de laurel. And then something that we like to do before we perform or do something in public is to do maybe something very concentrated. So we actually sew them. So they're sewn in little groups. But it's something that we might use or we might not, but it's maybe a fun practice. And it smells really delicious. And in Chile, we used to put it in the pasta. in the tallarines. So I don't know. So maybe we can start from a bay leaf or from a hoja de laurel.
Time is unbearable.
Time is delightful.
Time is
Time is time.
Time is tin.
Time is time.
With our thoughts we make the world.
totalité de cette sorte, non seulement là.
Physicality to the encryption. No physicality to the encryption. Less exploitation. In the magnetic junction. In the nuclear possibilities. In the act. In the never ending chaos of atoms. In the never ending chaos of atoms. Never ending chaos atoms, and never ending chaos atoms. Through the computers. Sky star. As vacuum, elastic universe, to find word with bites. Spy, space, spy.
Spieles ja das Ruhe.
Space, spy.
Das ist Kira blieft a liftelo, Kerikar verweg. Wel rwystad gythwng, rwystad gwythaf ar for ir, var iawn.
Honesty, facing, God. Unconquered borders, freedom of explosion, freedom of explosion, of explosion.
Fischer, symudiad
Lockdown.
Odens, Cloelawr.
Brainless shops. Explore. Cultural capital. Reimagine the realm. Masked. In the park. Multi-bodied organs. Generated script. Empty pavilions, virtual exhibitions, remote bookshops, wars, body, are we being forced? Not in your kitchen.
Venus Gramata Velemes Natsmilais South Patse Pilsetta Astonem Nomishu Tedzina Lupas
Language.
Milos Devi Milos Devi Milos Devi Milo like Savakt Darzu Uznakti.
Vast digital experiment. Vast digital experiment. Between teeth, territories, almost, tripping, almost, microphone, mutual attraction, XLR to 4-inch jack, entwine, embroidering,
Angelic
ways,
embroidery,
losing their individuality,
glycemic, cold devastation, ricochets,
connectivity,
typical what is crocodilic, of tremendous lustres, bottom, blot, rock, and hypoxic, shift, white exhale, short service and spree, lopsided, vessel, alism, a crisp ire, argonaut and 3 ounce, 30 disturbing inoculum, echo, music, ear fucked and knowing, birds call brought money, I work I work. Our inverse unleash or more mordant pry on me.
New.
Mute.
Mantle of love into the sea.
New.
Sulfuric fucks. Essence. Palangelic soar added up. Submergence worker. Luster's bottom Reich. Terrin Dervin Air. Cove. Yo 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 yo
por sobre todo por mi condición de macho, heredar, maltratado sobrenaturalmente en el mundo espiritual, lo que para mi muerte sea más rápido, me he colocado a la disposición de retomar una entrega en cualquier momento.
to be requesting, praise, beauty, radio, radio wave, radio wave, radio wave has partially grounded wireless networks like a mirror reflection of conversations.
de todos mis pacientes, daba vidas y salud, siendo una autoridad espiritual mapuche. Pero acerca del tiempo de haber justicia favorable para todos los pueblos originarios del mundo y para todos los pueblos oprimidos.
My Raquel Señor, and then she is stranger than the fall. She is stranger than the fall.
Junto con agradecerle profundamente a la vida por haberme dado una familia, la oportunidad de ser un pequeño aporte a la lucha de nuestro pueblo y estar al servicio de la humanidad. Agradezco también haberme abierto los corazones de mucha gente de los distintos sectores del mundo. Por último, solo espero que el Estado de Chile les siga exigiendo todas las formas de devolver nuestro territorio ancestral mapuche. Todas las deudas históricas.
Accumulate into fish packaging between teeth, tethering territories, testing times, test, almost tripping, a hyper object, a hyper object, a hyper object,
a hyper reality, per blind signal,
object,
to noise, to signal, to noise, to signal, to noise, to signal, to noise,
to signal,
to noise, to signal, to noise,
nose, to nose,
to noise, to nose, to noise,
to nose, too nice to be a nose. Hola, ¿cómo están? le mando abrazo, el Adrián también. That was lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Felipe and Martin, for inviting us.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, thank you.
See you.
Yeah, nice, lovely. And I don't know. Somebody wants to hang out, maybe we'll go somewhere. We can go to some. Hola, André.
Hola.
Hola.
There's a great storm here.
A storm?
Great, I'm looking forward for it to come here. Here it's boiling, it's like 40 degrees in the kitchen. Horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's still boiling, but there's lots of lightning and not so much thunder.
Oh, yeah, the storm is coming down. It's going to be here tomorrow. It's full of lightning.
We had it today about midday.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. There's also sunny at the same time.
That's good.
Right.
Oh,
Thanks, everybody.
ciao, un abrazo.
Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Besitos, te queremos.
I think maybe, yeah, Andres, do you want to ask something to Adrian and Luna before they go into the stratosphere?
No, I was listening all the time. I had to do some chores here.
Yeah, and you're going tomorrow to France, Andres. Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow here, the same place, same time, hour.
We see Andres, we're closer. We saw the comet together. That was great.
Yeah. And now it should be visible in the southern hemisphere, I think.
They can see it in Chile. Have you seen it, Felipe?
Yeah.
Felipe, ¿viste el cometa?
Felipe, ¿viste el cometa?
¿Viste el cometa? Ahora está visible en el hemisferio sur.
Ah,
Sería verlo, nosotros lo vimos con Andante. No sé si fue que tomamos tanto mezcal que lo vimos, pero lo vimos. No,
Lo vimos.
Está maravilloso. Yeah.
Como el mezcal. Bueno, Andrés, mañana nos vemos en una cosa más.
Need to do the kitchen still and then sleep a bit.
And maybe we sing with Felipe that you could be the next guest for next Wednesday. We are together in the cave. Maybe we can make a live from the painting caves in the south of France.
Will we have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
Let's try. Oh, maybe we can rent us a website or
Prehistoric Wi-Fi.
telepathic emission.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should do Motor Nightingale as a guest.
Yeah.
Since we're together.
Let's talk tomorrow, and then we'll talk with Felipe and maybe organize something during the week. Anyway, ciao, Riz. Thank you for coming. And
Thank you, Martin, and thank you, Felipe. Lots of love. Bye. Lots of love, Riz, and Andres, and Carlos, and Zoe, Ana Maria, and Jeannie. Sorry.
See you all next
we make
week.
like a little after, no?
Yeah, but I'll stop recording now.
Okay.
Okay, bacán.
Thank you.
Super.
See you next
Now
week.
you can say the grocery things and okay, after recording.